Last episode, we talked about the F-35 itself, what it is, what it can do, and what it feels like to fly one. If you haven't seen that one yet, it's worth going back to watch. But here's the thing, the jet doesn't do any of that on its own. Behind every F-35 mission, there are people on the ground making it all possible. And today on Hardpoint Military, we're getting into that world. We're talking about the crew chiefs, the weapons loaders, the maintainers, the people who reload this jet, refuel it, and get it back in the air in under 30 minutes. And then we're going to talk about something even bigger. What happens when allies from different countries have to do all of that together? Let's get into it. So first, let's talk about what actually happens when an F-35 lands after a mission. In a regular peacetime environment, you've got time. You can take things step by step. Maintenance checks, weapons loading, fuel, all done at a comfortable pace. Nobody's rushing. But that's not how real combat works. In a contested environment, meaning an actual conflict where the enemy is active, you don't have hours to get a jet back in the air. You might have minutes, and that changes everything about how the ground crews operate. This is where something called the integrated combat turn comes in. The idea is simple. The jet lands, and the clock starts immediately. Weapons are reloaded, fuel goes back in, systems are checked, and that aircraft is back in the air as fast as humanly possible, under 30 minutes, for a supersonic stealth fighter jet. And the person responsible for making sure the weapons side of that goes smoothly is the weapons load crew chief. We spoke to one of them. TS Sergeant Howard on his role as weapons load crew chief.
I'm Technical Sergeant Farron Howard. I'm a weapons load crew chief here at the 495th Fighter Generation Squadron, F-A-R-H-A-N, Howard, H-O-W-A-R-D. As a weapons loading crew chief, my role is to oversee the whole process of the weapons from munition prep all the way into loading until that aircraft takes off.
So he oversees the entire weapons process, from the moment the munitions are being prepped all the way through loading until the aircraft takes off. That's the whole chain, and he's responsible for all of it. Now, here's what that actually looks like in practice during an integrated combat turn. The jet touches down, his team is already moving. There's no standing around waiting for instructions. Everyone knows their job, everyone knows their position, and the clock is running. Weapons are coming off, fresh munitions are going on, fuel is flowing, and maintenance is doing their checks all at the same time. It's a lot of moving pieces happening simultaneously, and it has to work perfectly every single time. TS Sergeant Howard on the integrated combat turn.
The integrated combat turn is very important, especially with today's contested environment where we can redeploy aircraft, air power essentially, within a matter of minutes, right, instead of hours. I think today's integrated combat turn was great practice, especially for my newer A1Cs. It kind of stampedes the sense of urgency you should have as a weapons loader and kind of get a glimpse of how our combat will look in the next upcoming years. We're able to reload a jet, refuel the jet, get it redeployed in under 30 minutes.
Under 30 minutes to reload and redeploy a fighter jet. That's the standard they're working to. And he mentioned something worth paying attention to. This kind of training is especially important for the newer airmen, the A1Cs who are still learning, because there's a big difference between knowing how to load weapons in a relaxed training environment and knowing how to do it when the pressure is real and the clock is running. That's what the integrated combat turn does. It builds that muscle memory, that sense of urgency, so when it actually matters, nobody has to think twice about what to do. TS Sergeant Howard on what it means as a unit.
When we do this as a unit, it really shows that cohesion that we need and the cohesion that we have here at the 495th. It's a lot of coordination pieces, but once it all comes together, it's a really great picture, it's a really great show, and it really shows us what we're truly capable of.
That word he used, cohesion, that's the whole point. It's not just about individual skill. It's about whether the unit can move as one, whether everyone trusts everyone else to do their part at the right time. And when it comes together, it works, under 30 minutes every time. If you've worked on the flight line, loaded weapons, or been part of a ground crew, drop something in the comments. A lot of people watching don't realize how much skill and coordination goes into this side of the mission. Let them know. Now let's zoom out a little bit. Everything we just talked about, the integrated combat turn, the weapons loading, the ground operations, that's one squadron, one base, one air force doing it together. But the F-35 isn't just an American jet anymore. It's flown by over 15 countries. And as that fleet grows, especially in Europe, those nations need to be able to do all of this together. Not just fly together, but service each other's jets, load each other's weapons, operate as one force. That's a harder problem than it sounds. Different countries have different procedures, different training standards, even different languages. Getting all of that to work seamlessly on a flight line during a high-pressure situation takes a lot of deliberate practice, which is exactly what a cross-servicing demonstration is designed to prove. We heard from two people involved in one of those demonstrations. First, Lieutenant Colonel Larry Saposi, the 48th Maintenance Group Deputy Commander. Lieutenant Colonel Saposi on the cross-servicing demonstration.
My name is Lieutenant Colonel Larry Saposi. I'm the 48th Maintenance Group Deputy Commander. Today's demonstration, you're going to see another nation's Air Force load our AIM-120 onto our aircraft.
So what you're seeing in that demonstration is a different nation's Air Force loading an AIM-120, that's an air-to-air missile, onto a U.S. aircraft, proving that the process works across national boundaries. That's not a small thing. That means in a real conflict, if a U.S. F-35 lands at an Allied base and needs to be rearmed, that Allied ground crew can do it. The jet doesn't sit on the ground waiting for American personnel to show up. It gets back in the air. We also heard from Brigadier General Patrick Gossens, Deputy Director of the European Air Group. He goes by Goose, which is a great call sign. Brigadier General Gossens on why it matters in Europe.
My name is Patrick Gossens, Brigadier General. I go by Goose, and I'm the Deputy Director of the European Air Group. It's very important that for the upcoming size of the F-35 fleet in Europe, that all the individual nations can work together, that we can service each other aircraft, that we can load each other aircraft to be one force working together in Europe.
One force working together in Europe. That's the goal. And as more European nations bring the F-35 into their fleets, the importance of that interoperability only grows. Think about what that actually means in practice. A Dutch F-35 lands at a Norwegian base. A Belgian ground crew services a British jet. Everyone working off the same playbook. That's what these demonstrations are building toward. It doesn't happen automatically. It takes training, coordination, and a lot of deliberate work from people like the ones we heard from today. If you've got family or friends serving in any of the Allied nations flying the F-35, Netherlands, Norway, Italy, UK, Australia, drop it in the comments. This is a bigger community than most people realize. So that's episode 2 of Hardpoint Military. The pilots get the spotlight, rightfully so, but none of it works without the people on the ground. The crew chiefs, the weapons loaders, the maintainers, and increasingly the Allied ground crews from over a dozen countries learning to work as one. Next episode, we're going inside the life support side of this world. The AFE specialists, aircrew flight equipment, the people responsible for everything the pilot wears and carries, the helmet, the flight suit, the ejection seat gear, the stuff that keeps a pilot alive if everything goes wrong. That one hits a bit different. Hit the like button if you got something out of this. Subscribe to Hardpoint Military if you're not already, and leave a comment. We read them all. See you in the next one.